Well, come on another adventure with me. So we've got this 94 Nissan 300ZX, naturally aspirated. Complaint is battery keeps going dead on it. So it dropped off a few days ago. I haven't had a chance to get to it. I did throw a battery charger on it and let it sit for the first day, then took it off after the first day. Then last couple days, just in the morning, I checked battery voltage on it, and it looks like it's slowly dropping a couple tenths of a volt each day. And then I did check once the ignition off draw. It seems to be pulling about 200 milliamps um, with the meter. So for something that goes dead after a few days, I actually am going to use the inline DVOM meter deal so we can actually measure real current. I have too much of an issue with the current probes will just drift over time when I'm trying to look at stuff. So anyway, what I'm going to start doing is battery charger is off, but I got the meter hooked up here, but it's not actually run in series with the battery. So I'm just going to start by trying to snake in, if I can help it, I'm going to try to not lose battery cable connection. This customer said that this is a constant issue, so it's not intermittent, but just the same, if I can, wiggle up the battery cable and slide my amp meter clamps there and on the cable itself, on the post and on the cable itself without losing that total connection, I prefer to do it that way, just in case it is intermittent and the disconnect resets it. So we'll get that set back up. To work with ignition off draw stuff, I usually like to start with a voltage drop across all the fuses, though the customer said they actually pulled all of the fuses and the draw was still there. So that's a good piece of information to have. I still think I'm just gonna do a voltage drop across the fuses. If you've never seen it done, I use this chart. It's like multi-pages, and basically the two open points on top of the fuse, you do a voltage drop across it, and then depending on the size fuse, like the type of fuse and the size fuse, whatever you get for a millivolt measurement, there's an equivalent of milliamp current calculation based on that measurement, so we can have a guesstimate, a close guesstimate of which circuits are having a high draw. So that's what I'm gonna start with. We're gonna snake up that battery cable, and then the other thing I'm gonna do actually before that is I'm going to open all the doors. So hood's open, but I'm gonna open driver door, passenger door, open the trunk, and then I'm gonna close all the latches because I have no idea where we're going next. I want to have all that accessible without having to either wake things up in the car. I don't know how much it really wakes up. It's a 94. But just the same, I don't want to wake anything up in the car. Likewise, I don't want to blow that 10 amp fuse in the meter because that's just inconvenient. That's what I'm going to start with. We're going to connect the meter, open all the doors, close all the latches, and then we'll get somewhere wherever the fuse box is and start doing voltage drops across all the open fuses. Here is the setup we got going on. So, said so again. One of these days I'll quit saying so much. Anyway, we're on our normal amp setting and we're at 0.2 amps, so 230 milliamps is what we're drawing pretty consistently. We've got it set up like so. The battery charger is connected, but it's off. I'll just move that there for now. So we've got alligator clamps going from the actual terminal to the cable. And then we have doors open, switch is latched, but I don't think there's probably any wires going to it because there's a door switch, an actual door that turns like the feet lamps on. The dome light doesn't come on. I think it's got a manual switch that turns it off. Anyway, so we just got little cheap wood clamps lightly like squeezing the switch closed on this side and driver's side. I don't see any latch, or excuse me, any switch buttons on the rear, but we do have this switch here pushed close. So I kind of assume there's a wire switch in there. Maybe not, but I don't see it anywhere else back here. I don't see any wires going to anything. Same thing on driver door. Latch is closed. Little wood clamp on the door switch. I did find one of our fuse boxes down here underneath the driver dash back there in that corner. So it's got description, which is nice. And we also have our underhood fuse box with the cover pulled up that we'll be doing our testing on, since that meter is being used for the amperage, because I really want an accurate amperage measurement of what we're pulling out of that battery. We're going to use the Autel DVOM, which I really don't use that much. I'd actually probably prefer to get a second meter to be able to do this, but my second meter's not here. Probably need to get a third one in that case. But whatever, we're just using a normal DVOM function. It's not hooked up to anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a voltage drop across each one of the fuse terminals inside, under the hood, and then on the inside fuse box, and see if any of them pull up a higher than the zero value, typically 0 or maybe 0.1 of a millivolt. So like 0.0001 volts is pretty normal to see if that circuit is not active. If it is active, then we'll see a couple millivolts across those fuses, and then we'll look at the chart to figure out what kind of draw it's get. That's where I'm going next. I'm going to do voltage drops across each of the fuses in here and in the inside, and I'll let you know what I find. This is about as good as I'm going to be able to get you. I got a new little tripod dealie, super cheap, but I think it'll work for what we got to do. So checked all fuses under this panel here under the hood. Also checked the ones under the dash. The only fuse that I've got that actually pulls any amount of voltage drop across it is one of these 10 amps right here in this box. So just to demo what we've got going on, I'm going to pick a good one. I know this thing's moving all over the place, but when you go over and touch the blades on the back side of it, there we got 0.0 millivolt drop across this fuse. So this one tells me it's good. Now if I go to this 10 amp fuse that I found a voltage across, you can see we're at 1.6 to 1.7 millivolts. See if I can get it steady. I'm just going to call it 1.7. So 1.7, and it says negative because the leads are backwards. I guess I could switch those leads the right way based on current flow. So 1.7, 1.8. So we're going to call it 1.7 millivolts. That's a 10 amp fuse. If we get our little chart out here, let me stand behind. We get our little chart out here. We're on a 10 amp fuse. So this is red, standard 10 amp. And I said, so we're going to keep our thumb there. And we said 1.7 millivolts. So there's 1.7 millivolts. We're going to go across. Do. Did I already know? I think I already missed my line up. It's just hard to do through camera. All right, white line, 1.7. Boom. 221 milliamps is what we should be getting draw on that circuit. 221. Well, I'm here to tell you, I don't know if you can actually see this or not. Probably not, but that's 237 milliamps. So that's really, really close. I'm going to say we may very well be on our girl. I'm sure you cannot read that at all, but I'm going to grab some pliers and we're going to give that little fuse a yank out and see what happens to our draw. I anticipate it should go away. So we're at 237 milliamps. Get this thing to wiggle out. Boom. 0.007 amps. So that is now 7 milliamps. This is our issue right here. Let me now figure out what in the world circuit that is. This is very lovely and convenient. So how does this go? Something like that. Gives us a little breakout on the back. Third one down. It says theft room L. So whatever theft room L is. I have no idea what theft room L is. Let's see if we can get to see that. Right there. Theft room L, 10 amp. That's our draw. We I mean, I guess that shouldn't be too high for some sort of security stuff, but I guess next we're gonna figure out where our theft module is. As soon as I plug it back in, we're at 240 milliamps. So definitely found our issue right there. I'm gonna go do some digging and see where this theft module lies. I assume it has a theft module. I have no clue how it works, but we'll do some digging in service info and come back then. Let me catch you up. So in service info, we go through and look at locations to try and figure out what theft module stuff exists. And the first thing we're brought is this dude. And the only thing here it says is, I'll hit the camera, door lock timer. And that looks like it's back on the B/C pillar on the passenger side. So that's number one. And then if I go to a different component, search something or other, probably should have highlighted this so it'd be easier for the camera to see. You know, if I was thinking ahead, but today we're not, so we're just going to deal with it. I'm going to trace this down, maybe. But we found another module. There we go. So, looks like under the passenger kick panel, we have this theft warning control unit down under there. So those are the first two locations of stuff that I found. Let's go for a field trip over to the toolbox. Because now I got other stuff where we're trying to make sense of whatnot. So, I said so again. Theft warning relay. Not a module, but a relay says theft. And if we follow that up, it actually does not come from any fuses. It comes directly from the ignition switch. I guess it could have a fusible link up there. But we didn't pull the relay, so we're going to keep that in the back of our mind for now and move on. Likewise, we've got this theft warning control unit. This sounds more applicable, but when I follow that line up, it goes to a 7.5 amp fuse, not a 10 amp fuse. There are no 7.5 amp fuses under the hood, but there are a few 7.5s on the interior under the driver kick panel. So I don't think this is what we're looking for, but we'll keep it in the back of our mind also. According to this one, this is our full theft control unit. And luckily here it says right kick panel. So we're going to assume the one under the passenger side is what we're looking for. This really has two powers coming into it. One is this yellow, which goes to fuse K, and nothing that I can really find tells me what fuse K is. That certainly doesn't say fuse K on it anywhere, so that's less than helpful. But let's keep in mind it is a 10 amp, so we will just keep that in mind. And it says relay box, left side of engine compartment. So very possible this could be our fuse that we pulled. But also the second B plus, this white wire, goes over and up to what they're now calling fuse 11, 10 amp. And this is in the kick panel. So again, nothing was drawn, had no voltage drop on any of the fuses on the inside, so I don't think this is what we're after. Looks like this is most probable to be the fuse that we pulled under the hood. And we're going to go to this module next. One thing I did notice, by the way, these are all like door switches and unlock buttons and all that stuff. It's got power locks and whatever. Obviously, it's got theft stuff. But I did find something I missed earlier. It doesn't affect anything, but the wiring diagram says hood switch, left side of engine compartment. And I looked, so the hood latch is closed, but I looked everywhere across there, across here, and I saw no hood switch. And the only thing I see dangling from the hood is the washer line. So I didn't know what was going on there. So I kept looking, and I assumed this is it. So I put another little stopper on it, but right next to our fuse block, I guess I can pull it off for you to see, there's this dude. And I assume that is our hood switch because it about lines up with that spot right there on the hood. It's got a little indent on it where it's most likely been smacking. But regardless, even with that tripped, get the meter over here. Oh, I just about yanked that off. Oh, that was smart. Let me reset this meter, turn it on. So even with this switch depressed, we have no change, which is good news. So we're at 236 milliamps. I'm going to push down 221. So minimal change. I assume this is just some different activity that's going on in that theft module. Regardless, I'll put that that little clamp back on it just to be on the safe side. But I definitely missed that first time around until I saw it in the wiring diagram. I'm gonna figure out how to get underneath the passenger compartment and to hopefully this is easy to get access to. This thing's kind of old, so I'll probably be moving kind of slow and gentle with those interior pieces. We're going to see if we can't get you the money shot. If I hadn't taken this apart myself, I may not have believed it. Underneath there is all that stuff, but I promise you, this car has wooden floorboards. This is 30-year-old wood to cover up the modules down there. That's hilarious. But I guess it worked. I mean, it made it this far. But anyway, our wiring diagram, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to really show you. Our wiring diagram over here on the left with our focus, our theft warning module. Looks like it's a single connector with about 16 pins. And when we look at that dude, so I think this is the engine controller, looks like it. But that dude right there looks like it might be about 16 pins and it has one connector. I have not unplugged it yet. Let's come back. So 220 milliamps coming out. Let's be exceptionally gentle. Interior is my least favorite type of repair, especially in a 30-year-old car. Ooh, this thing is in there snug. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, I might have to use two hands. I can't get you any better than that. That's as good as you're going to be able to see. Let's get my little plastic trim tool in here and push down on that old girl. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, wiggling out. Oh, it's so close. There she is. Okay. Ugh. Well, we got the wrong module or we're on the wrong path. Let's look around under there again. I may not have looked far enough. So that's what we just unplugged. But above this one, man, I can't even get the camera in here. Boom, there's another module. That also only has one connector. And I have no idea. I think the release tab's on the bottom. I'm going to have to finagle with that. That's the one I'm going to unplug next. I'll plug this one back in. I can't see that. Plug that back in and unplug that, and then we'll go back under the hood. Right. We have dismounted it from the bracket. Have not unplugged it yet, but I was also, hitting on stuff. Still got our draws. Reset this to make sure the battery, or to make sure the auto off doesn't turn off. Still 220 milliamp draw. Do our best to set you up. That release tab was on the bottom side of this. There's no way I could have gotten to it. I mean, I'd be able to get to it, but I can't see nothing. I still may not be able to get to it very well. Come on, baby. It's on the bottom. Oh, so close. Give her a wiggle. Oh, she's unplugged. Now, let's see what happens. Still got her draw. Well, let's go to the next thing. Oh, pay attention. I used another trick up my sleeve, and it's probably the only thing that really would have got me in further. So I was looking at the diagram, and it actually looks like, so I found the engine controller. Let me catch you up. I'll flip you around. So this, God damn it, it's so. Where is it? So this right here says the engine control module. I assume that's the large one. And we can see that line goes down here to this dude. But pretty far off is what we highlighted previously. So we've been unplugging all of this stuff. Which apparently is power steering control unit, maybe. Anyway, we've been unplugging that stuff. I got this dude out. This is the FLIR mobile thing. This is awesome. So I'm going to try and double fist this as we go through here. I'm pretty sure I found it. So we'll let this calibrate. And I'm going to, oh, I'm falling. I'm going to try and set you up so you can see this. Ah! Just work with me. I got two hands going. Anyway, let it calibrate. So, there. That hot spot. Come on. There's our hot spot right there. And so, if you look real close, it's like, just blurred. It's hot on top, and then it looks like there's something in front of it, and then it's hot on bottom. Remember that. Something in front of it, hot on bottom. When I get the light on, where is it? That right here. So there's a big piece of the structural metal for mounting all the dash stuff, but this mounts behind it. So you can see I can stick my finger between it, and there's a connector over here hidden behind this bar. So I'm going to disconnect this connector on this dude next, and I'm pretty sure that one is it. I haven't unplugged it yet. Still got our draw. I got it dismounted from that bracket, so I should be able to come in. That's it right there. So this is dismounted, and the plug is right here. Let me get this unplugged. Try anyway. It's pretty snug. Ah! You guys okay? Just got hit. Come on! Right here. Let's unplug it. Come on. Oh, she's so stiff. Dang. I can't get the connector out. Man, I swear I can't get this thing out. Oh. This is horrible. Just come on for me. I don't think I can get the... I don't think I can get this thing depressed far enough. Please hold. Okay, I'm back. I've got my little mini pocket pry bar. I'm trying to push on that depressor thingy with that. They do not give you much room to work here. at all. Guess they didn't anticipate this breaking, did they? I guess still, this thing's 30 years old. Y'all, I cannot. Oh, wait. There's a little closer to us. Come on, baby. Work for me. Come on, darling. Okay, it's depressed. Oh, depressed. I hope y'all are enjoying this. The struggle I do to film this. I still can't get it. Are you kidding me? Oh, wait. Oh! Boom. Sound of relief. I hope this did it. Now, let's go. Hot damn. We have dropped half of our voltage, or excuse me, our amp draw out. I do wonder if we woke anything up. I'm going to watch this for a bit. We'll see if it drops down. Maybe I'll open the door, close the door or something. Maybe the horn will go off. But we got, looks like half of it. That's still too much draw. It's 160 milliamps. Should be like a third of that or less. And I'm going to watch it for a minute. It has been a couple minutes, no change. But I did, come on, just turned off on me. Just turn it back on. However, here's one test I did. Let me set you up. We're going to test that fuse again. Got baby tripod now. Let's see if I can get everything in the same shot. Maybe, maybe not. Let's move this over here. Boom. Okay. So we had 1.7 before. Now when I come across these, stuff's falling apart. Across these pins, we are at 1.1. So it went from 1.7 to 1.1. We still have a draw on this circuit. That was part of it. So that was 0.6. Let's do the math real quick. That is 0.6 millivolts. 0.6 millivolts. And if I go to my chart of a difference anyway, 0.6 millivolt difference. 0.6 millivolts. Come on. Go across to our red. 78 milliamps. That's still pretty high. I was trying to think if maybe perhaps that module needed to be awake, because that's, it's always monitoring for keys or doors or whatever. But we still got a draw. We still got a 1.1 millivolt drop, which means there's a 1.1 143. So still have 143 millivolt, or excuse me, milliamp draw. And that's about what we're seeing, 160, so like a 25 millivolt difference. So we still got something on that circuit. Let me look at some wiring and see where else that thing goes. Here is our next test. I want to make sure this is the right module that goes to that fuse. So I have the yellow wire, looks like pin number 1, probed. So there's 2. Oh, I got the wrong one probed, it looks like. We need pin number 3 white. So I'm going to pin the T-pin, pin number 3 white. Okay, we got maybe pin number 3 white. I want to see if we got power going to this. So got test light hooked up. We have no power going to this. That's interesting. Let's make sure oops, that may have been a good connection. Do we have anything? Do we have good connection on our test light? Let's try the other B+. I'm just going to touch. That's too big. Well, come on. Let's make sure we got it in there right. We're in the white pin. This So the yellow wire should be from the kick panel fuse box, and the white one should be from under the hood. Let's test the yellow one, see if yellow is. Oh yeah, yellow has power coming to it. So there's yellow. Okay, can you see that? You can. So yellow has power coming to it. So we got good ground in our test light, but white should be coming. I wonder what this relay is here on this thing. Oh, you know what? Just for grins, let's pull this relay. Oh, it's got a weird clip on it. Okay, relay is unplugged. Let's run back under the hood. Still got a draw. We still got something else going on there. So I was going to try and make sure that fuse that goes under the hood is actually what feeds this thing here, but that may not be the case, or I may need to get an actual breakout lead and pin the front of it correctly. Let me do that. It would help if I could actually read a wiring diagram correct. Here's what I messed up on. I think under the dash we touched previously yellow when it lit up, but white did not light up. That's because I had these backwards in my mind. This is inside. It's hot and accessory run. We're not worried about that. We want this one. We want to make sure this is our fuse that is actually powering this thing up. This is I think the fuse that has a draw on it. So, or if this is the fuse that has a draw on it, then we should be able to do like we just did, run a test light to yellow at the theft module, have it light up, unplug our fuse with the draw, and the test light should go out. If that is the case and our draw disappears with no test light lit, then this circuit is where we're going to start doing our searching. I'll be interested to see what's happening with this, with the theft lamp. I did not pay attention to that at any point in time. Obviously, it's not going to be on now because everything's unplugged. And then the yellow line goes down here for some other stuff. Looks like horn relay, whatever. So that's what we're doing next. We're going to stick a test light there. We're going to unplug that fuse and see if it goes out. Right. Our connector going after is right here. I've got my test light connected to ground, and I just stuck it in this little probe, and I'm going to stick next to the yellow wire, not in the pin, but next to it. Boom. Oh, maybe. Come on. I was. Ah! Okay, test light. Stay lit. Just trying to finagle this in here. Alright, test light is lit. I'm now going to go under the hood, and I'm going to pull that 10-amp fuse that we've been having our draw on. I don't have pliers, so it's wiggling. Okay, fuse has now been removed. What do we have? What do we have? Yes, test light went out. So I'm going to make sure I didn't lose test light connection. I'm going to go ahead and push this fuse back in. It's home, so fuse is now in. I heard a little pop. Hopefully it's just an arc and didn't blow it. Yes, test light is in. Okay, we now have our correct circuit. We know that is the circuit we want to deal with. This one right here is our fuse. So we got to figure out what else it goes to and figure out where that draw is coming from. So I'm going to look at this and bring you back when I figure something out. We have more conflicting information. That yellow trace comes down to horn relay. It says right kick panel, and it comes back up. This is interesting. I saw this earlier in a few different spots, but this thing has a series of diodes in different places for, I guess, obviously current flow direction, but I wonder if any of these diodes might have an issue. But the only other place, so your security lamp shouldn't have anything going on around because it's unplugged, so I'm not worried about that. The only other place this goes is to the horn relay. So if I can just disconnect the horn relay and see if that draw goes away, we'll at least know we're going in this direction. But it says right kick panel. When we switch over to this diagram, here's a series of relays that are under there, and here also, none of these say horn. So I got blower, audio relay, power steering, AC, whatever that is, blower, control module. But anyway, so those don't line up. However, when we go in the underhood, we do have a horn relay. Looks like our second one in, confirmed by our cover here, horn relay. Let's go ahead and pull this and turn our meter back on. Oh, well, that's not what I was expecting. Now we have a 400 milliamp draw. Well, that's unexpected. Anyway, let's go ahead and figure out where this is and pull our horn relay. I think I'm going to need two hands because it's got a release mechanism. This is getting to be hilarious. So I did pull this out and I had no change. For some reason, we're back down to our 160 whatever. But when I still pull this fuse, we lose our draw. So I'm going to show you fuses out. Fuse is in and it comes back up. I doubt that you heard it, but I did this and I heard something click under here. So I'm going to set something under here is clicking, but I need a way to get under there, under the hood. Let me flip this. So I found it, I think. Whenever I disconnect and reconnect that fuse, like just touch it and touch it, I can hear something clicking underneath the dash where we were. I'm going to have to get some jumper wires and run a switch or something while we're underneath here listening to whatever clicks. I'm going to pull that fuse out, get some jumper wires, and we'll set back up underneath the dash. Here's our setup. We have just test leads jumped into the fuse spot, going to a set of jumper wires. The jumper wires are run inside here. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Let me try and set this thing up so you can see and hear. And I have the fuse right here. Just in case it is a short, we don't want to melt wires, but I'm going to touch it. Something in here is clicking. I don't know where it is. Now it sounds like it's coming from the back. Something's coming from the back. Let's run to the other side of the car and drag all our wires with us. Only the greatest film quality every time. Now we're over here in this back corner trying to listen. Whatever, we're in the trunk. I'll touch it again. I have no idea where this is coming from. I'm going to do this off camera until I find it. So I can't quite get to that clicking. It's under there somewhere. And to get under there, all of this has to come out. So because we're getting a little close on allotted time, I have a pivot that I'm going to try, and I don't know where it's going to go. Back to our diagram here. These diodes, so right kick panel, diode, right kick panel, diode, right kick panel. And they have certain wire colors on some of them. It's like pink and black, green. I think if we disconnect those diodes, I think I found them under here. Actually, I'm pretty confident I found them. So, that dude right here. You probably can't see it, but across the front of that, it has a bunch of diode pictures. Will it focus? It will, kind of. I'm going to disconnect that and see what happens to our draw. Going to try to capture it. We're at 180 milliamps. Back into the dash. See if I can set this up where you can see. You probably won't be able to see. I highly doubt you're going to be able to see this dude here. Of course you can't see. I don't know what to tell you if you can't see. So I've got it off of the main bracket. And of course we're going to always struggle getting these little clips. Come on, baby. She's close. I can feel her. Okay. Diodes are disconnected. There it is. Crap. Still have our draw. It looks like in that case, we've got something going on. I got to figure out whatever's underneath there clicking to figure out where this draw is going. It's time to call the customer and see how much more time they want to invest into it. We might try and pull that fuse and see how the vehicle runs with no fuse there. But at this point, I'm wondering if we don't have a short somewhere. I have no idea. But we still have a draw. Diodes are unplugged. I'll double check. Bring it back. I'll double check to make sure there's no other diode pack under there, but it's going to be a phone call to the customer this time and see how much of this interior they want authorized to pull out. See what happens. I don't quite remember where we left off. It's been a few days. We got a whole bunch more hours of approval from the customer to continue on with our ignition off draw testing. Last time we were dealing with fuse K, the 10 amp, the something theft room fuse, whatever. That only powers up potentially 3 things according to our diagram. 2 of them are unplugged with the theft module being unplugged, and 1 goes to potentially some horn relay, but all the relays that we found were supposed to be underneath the dash and in the actual relay box itself. But when we actually jump the pins of the that 10 amp fuse with the jumper wires with the theft module unplugged, we're getting a clicking underneath the rear carpet. So that's where we paused last time, as far as I can remember. And now we've got approval to get access to that carpet piece. So I think most of the interior is going to come out of this thing. I can't really find anything good on service info. There's a couple people online that are doing interior swaps on these cars. Apparently that's a big deal. So we might piggyback on some of their videos to see how this stuff comes apart, because the last thing I want to do for a 30-year-old car is break any of the interior stuff. It's going to be fragile, and so we're going to move pretty slow. And yeah, that's what we got. So last thing though, back to this weird clicking that's coming when we reconnect that fuse. There should not be anything clicking. Like we've isolated, according to the wiring diagram, we have isolated what that circuit should be, and something else is being powered up. That tells me there's a good probability that we may find a copper to copper short somewhere. So if we unplug all the things that are supposed to connect that circuit and we still get some electricity moving, I'm thinking we might find some wire rub throughs. But I have no idea what we're going to find. I have no idea what's clicking when I look at the, lovely 30-year-old service info. There's not a whole lot of components under that rear section, so I have no clue what we're going to find. But at this point, I'm going to start taking this thing apart, and I'll, bring this camera back when we get some interior out and organized and some wires pulled up. I'm sure it'll be much more lovely for you to watch than me to do. Nonetheless, we'll get to it. Come along for an adventure. We have most of this interior disassembled, which is quite fun. The thing that's clicking, which you obviously cannot see from that angle. Let's get inside the car. Down here, get the light Boom. That relay, whatever that goes to, is clicking. I don't know what the wire colors are yet. And also, if you're a 300ZX person, what is all this stuff? This plastic container. So this thing was sitting down there like that, and all of this plastic stuff sits right in here. It's like some suction cups. No idea, but let me know. Anyway, we've got a relay down yonder that's making some clicky clicks, and that happens whenever we do this thingy. So let me see if I can get all this in the same shot. Probably won't be able to. Of course not. Please hold. Right, so these are jumped from the fuse box under the hood, and when we touch, we get our clicky clicks right there. Whoops, I'm hitting stuff. So just to make sure, I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to at least try to unplug this. If I can get my hand down in there. Apparently not. This is super awkward. Please hold again. Almost. Okay, now she's unplugged. Try this again. Boom, no noise. We have a, what is that? Blue and black. We got a black. We got a red and black, and we got a red and white maybe. Let's figure out what in the world those wire colors go to and see where that wire harness runs and what it's supposed to go for. Everything is slowly coming together. Finding what relay this was a little interesting. We really just had to, because we didn't know what it was and didn't have anywhere to go up to this point. I just went through service info and I looked at power distribution diagrams, and then I started looking at, I started with component locations, just generic vehicle, and we got this thing, which wasn't quite as much help as we thought it was. So then we started going through power distributions, looking like doing keyword search for word relay on the diagrams, and then like keyword search for wire colors, and then I started just going through different lighting circuits. So like there's different things I went through. I don't even remember. Somehow I ended up on the lighting section, and there's like exterior lighting sections, two different exterior lighting sections, an interior and something else. In the interior lighting section, I found some information that's going to give us our next to go. So as always, let me catch you up. Here's one of the first things we found. This diagram dealy, but we don't have everything that is here. So we've got this high cast control unit, which I didn't have any idea what that was. And apparently that stands for high capacity actively controlled steering. So some of these models came with rear steer. We do not have that, so that's okay. And then it says there's an ICAST relay up here, which this doesn't exist, so that's helpful. However, though, this says room lamp relay and points to a module, so that's not quite right. This says shock absorber, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that. We only have one. So we've got what looks like a fuel pump control module down here. When I actually searched the little module we found down there, I wiped it off and searched the part number. It was they call it a non-turbo fuel pump control module. But if you look at this one, this says high cast control unit, and it actually points at the little relay. So we got a little bit of mislabeling here that didn't throw us for too much of a loop, but just something to know. We got a little bit of mislabeling. After doing all my searching, we come across this diagram, and they got rid of the footers and headers. But, boom, room lamp relay below left B pillar. And we have our red and black, red and white, blue and black, and black. We have our right wire colors. This looks like it feeds interior lamp stuff, and it also has a diode. But then look, if you remember those diode packs that we pulled earlier, here's another diode pack. But I missed something in the previous diode pack. So below left B pillar. We checked the one below the right A pillar. There are multiples of these. If we bounce back to our other diagrams for these diodes, right kick panel, right kick panel, and so that's where that led us on that path for those diodes to unplug it. And here again, right kick panel, but somewhere in here, where did it go? Oh, I missed this one earlier. I missed the labeling difference. Left B pillar. So left B pillar diode pack is associated with our theft module, is associated with all of our door switches and unlock stuff. So it looks like our next series of tests is going to be figuring out where this thing is getting grounded at. Somewhere in here we should have current flow when we should not. So we are going to reclose all of our switches and our door latches and trunk latches and hood latch or hood switch and stuff. We're going to close all those. Yeah, so I'm assuming, this is my assumption. My assumption is when the doors are closed, this is normally open. So there's no current flow. So there's no current flow through the lights. I really don't know, but I guess we'll figure it out because obviously the lights come on when you open the door. But anyway, as long as I'm thinking about this right off the cuff, one of these circuits should have current flowing through it. And once we figure out which circuit has current flowing through it, we can then follow that wire to wherever it goes. But this is our relay that's clicking, so this page is our next set of tests. I'm going to do some picking and probing and measuring, and we'll get you back after that. So, multimeters installed, amperage directly to battery cable. Boom. 40 milliamps. Let's show you what I got. So, I said so again. I was doing so good this video, I thought anyway. We got the amp clamp out, and I don't remember if you remember me complaining about it in the beginning of the video, but certainly it did not do what I needed it to do, so it was useless. It's just too noisy to do something this small. But remember this. So our diode pack, everything coming from the top is coming from power in all these areas. And if you remember how diodes work, I got my test light, and test light hooked up to ground. So the other end of this to ground, the test light's looking for power. If it finds power, it'll light. We touch all these, it lights up like it's supposed to because it's coming from B plus. It lights up dim because of these things, but it still lights up. If you touch here, the test light will not light up. So you have to switch your clamp on your test light to power. Now, when the test light touches ground, like boom, the test light will light. So now we can test these sides of the diodes with the test light. And in testing through these, I had a test light up on this one. And this goes to theft warning control unit and backdoor switch. Backdoor switch, I didn't know where it was earlier, but probably can't see. Which one is it? I believe it's that wire. Goes up and inside the door latch. All I did was touch it. That's it. That's the only thing I did was touch it. I didn't unplug it or nothing. I kind of tried to unplug it, but it didn't work. And now, when I go through, I have no ground source on any of these wires, including my ground, and my amperage drops. So by the way, there is still the L room fuse, whatever, jumped with my jumpers. And those jumper wires run right there to the L room fuse. And we're sitting at 40 milliamps. I'm going to watch this for quite a while. I even tried re-wiggling that little switch deal back there, and it couldn't get it to change. So once I fixed it, it fixed it. I don't know if we're just going to go ahead and see if we get a a price on that switch, a replacement, see if it's even available. Might be able to take it apart and clean it. This thing's old, so it's probably got, serviceable contacts. I don't know, but it seems that switch back there is the only thing else that I touched, and this thing went away. I suppose it's possible we got an intermittent, but I'm gonna mess with everything a whole bunch of times. We're gonna do some key cycles and whatnot. I'm gonna really try and F with it to see if I can get it to trip up again. But so far, this is working. So even when I come across, let's do, for example, see if I can get this in the same shot. It's hard to see, but under there, this kick panel light works. So we'll take the switch off of this, and yeah, you can't tell, but the kick panel light came on. Can you tell? And you can hear it clicking. I'm gonna move you under there a little bit further. All I'm doing is pushing the door switch. So dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, and the switch is clicking here too. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's clicking down there. So leaving the door in the open position now. Coming back to our meter, we got interior lights on. We're at 500 milliamp draw, so the car's woken up. We'll come back over, close this switch up. Try to close it up gingerly so we don't break this ancient thing. So just heard it click. That light's out. Boom, 40 milliamps. So I guess that's it. We'll see if we can get you a little bit of a closer shot on this wiring thingy back here. But right in there, she's got a wire going to her. You can't see nothing. Yeah, you can't see nothing. She got a wire going to her. I'm probably gonna pull this out, see if it looks bad or whatever. But that's what we found so far. I'm gonna mess with the system a whole bunch. Let you look at me. I'm gonna mess with the system a whole bunch and see if I can't bring it back. I just want to make sure we didn't miss something or it became intermittent. But this whole time we've been messing with it, it hasn't been intermittent. It's been constant every time. Even when we're unplugging the theft module, it just comes back every time. But I think that's it. We'll let you know after I fiddle with it and see if this is our final call. We got the switch dismounted, and dude, this is some ancient technology, and I really have no idea how the thing even works. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this well. Let me try to get the light over here without, oh, what a disaster. There we go, some light. So here's our one wire. This is upside down for me. So here's our one wire coming in, and right now the switch is in the unlatched or open position, so as if the gate is up. And when we flip it this way, it'll be easier to see. Where's my tool? Right under the camera. So when I come in here with this tool to close this latch, watch this mechanism. Somehow this one wire comes in, and this latch arm somehow grounds this big metallic strip. So it looks like this metallic strip goes underneath this rivet and underneath this rivet here, and somehow this completes the connection or pushes it to the case. And I guess it's case grounded to the body because obviously there's only one wire. So when I push the latch closed, watch that thing pop up. So trying to close it, there it goes. And so it pops up, and now there's a gap between this arm, which just moves on a spring, and this whatever bar is. But it's weird because it doesn't touch the metal rivets. It just, yeah. So now if I get you so you can see, if I pull on this lever, it will spring that closed. So this lever here, you can see it goes towards it. Boom. And then the latch springs, and then that closes it. So when I do this, this is the only thing that moves in here. I guess also when I pull this wire off, you can see like it's just kind of old. It's got like a film on it. There's no grease in here, but it's got kind of that like, just ancient ass film on it. So we'll probably just stick some brushes I got those weird little terminal cleaner deals. We'll try to clean this out. Maybe recrimp this end. The screws that go through here weren't super tight. Maybe we'll make sure those are snugged up. But from what I can tell, when we are in the open, unlatched position. Oh, it won't matter because it's not grounded. Uh, yeah, so that's what I got. It's some ancient technology. We'll try to clean it up a little bit and make sure it still works. But I think this might be our issue. I don't see any major failures. I think potentially if we just clean it, I might price out a new one anyway, but if we just clean it, we might be in all right shape. I think I figured it out. So this little latch arm for the electric switch, it doesn't actually depress on this riveted metal. It doesn't move. What it looks like is this is the electrical connection. So there's a little triangle. I don't know if you can see in here. Right here. There's a little triangle nub that sticks up out of this plate, and this latch arm just touches it, and it centers it right there. So now they're in contact, and then it looks like this latch just body grounds to this whole case assembly, and then the case assembly bolts to the body. So it looks like it's it. I'm not sure. Since it started working while it was still inside the trunk, I'm assuming this is our main issue. But I've cleaned this whole thing up with some brake clean, and then we're going to hit it with some electrical cleaner, and then we're going to hit it with some probably silicone lube in the joints here the joints to make sure this thing continues to free up. Can't really find this thing anywhere. She's pretty well non-existent. Of course, I didn't spend too long looking for her, but I think this is our girl right here. So we had a bad connection right here, which I think is most probable since this is what I touched when the problem went away. And second most probable point is going to be right in here. There was a whole bunch of grease in there. I don't know what kind. Anyway, clean this up, leave it up, throw it back in, and then we'll do some confirmation testing. First time I think I've actually had to use this style tool out of my little terminal kit to get this connector off. There's two little prongs right there. You can see them. You got to open the back of this up so the back opens up like so. Those two little prongs, when everything's together, you run this down in there, depress those prongs. Terminal comes out, and then we're gonna clean and recrimp that old girl, and then I think she'll be ready to go back together. 200-ish milliamps. Ooh, easy. Lay this down. Bring her down nice and gentle. Boom! That's a fix. Come for an adventure with me. We got her back together, and we're going to do our last confirmation checks. Everything's closed. 50 milliamps. We are still leaving that hood latch closed, though it doesn't seem to have any impact. We have no dome lights. Open the door, dome light comes on. Got a 1.1 amp draw, 1.2-ish. And this doesn't go out right away, so if I hurry, I think it's got a couple seconds and then it drops down. So there's half an amp. She's dropping 300, 200, 100, 50. Boom. Grab this door. I don't remember if this, yep, we got the dome light on. Give it a close. There's our half. It goes up to 1 with the light open, with the door open, and then drops to 50. Last one, money shot. Got our little lever deal here, and I don't know if you can see, but the dome lights come on. Open that girl up. Got a 900 milliamp draw. Get rear shut. Boom. Right away. Down to 50. And then we'll do one last check if I can not rip all my wires out of here. But I still don't see any change with this hood latch. So we're at 50 milliamps. We'll let this loose. Yeah, it jumps up to 60. So this really doesn't seem to have any impact, any significant impact. I guess I don't know if Nissan offers it. I guess I probably could have offered or looked up what the actual ignition off draw spec is. But either way, we're down at 50 milliamps, 60 milliamps ish, way better than our 220, whatever it was. We're calling that a fix. I am going to shout out a couple people though. Oh, careful. Get your stuff together. Come on. So, the interior on this ancient ass car is not the greatest. I'm going to give you one tip actually. We're going to go back to the car. If you have to pull the interior on these, on the rear, there's one guy, I'll tell you in a minute, but there's one guy that starts it. Here's where you start. Everything in the rear is overlapped here. This panel here, there are two push tabs here, one here and one here. So on the inner I guess plane or line, whatever, of this panel, this just lifts right up. So if you get a trimming tool right here, then pop this up, this whole panel will then slide out. After this slides out, then you can get this one out. But to get this one out, you got to start all the way in the back. So start with this one, pop it up, and then start in the back and work your way all the way around. That's how you get access to all the stuffs in the back, because there's nothing that, at least in my service info that I have, there was nothing that told me how to take all that interior apart. I had no clue. So I did what any, modern mechanic does. I jumped on YouTube and watch these people swap these interiors out. But I'm going to link these dudes below. I have no idea who they are, but they helped me for sure without breaking a bunch of stuff. We got a Matt Walker, a Z32 Workshop, and Quick Shot. So shout out to those dudes. Appreciate the content they put out, because I actually didn't break anything. That's a lie. I broke one screw hole. Like there's a piece of plastic where a screw went into, but where a little plastic piece broke off. But I hot glued it, drilled a new hole in it, and then the screw went right in. So I only broke one piece, but it's fixed. So I said so again. Anyway, shout out to those dudes. I hope this was helpful for somebody taking care of your L room fuse or whatever it was called. We got her back in there, by the way, so it's actually legit back in there, not just my jumper cables for your theft room L fuse. That girl right there. Hope this was helpful for somebody. This is usually how I triage ignition off draws on vehicles. I'll start with doing fuse voltage drops, and then occasionally we'll get out open all the doors, close all the latches and switches, do voltage drops across the fuses, and then occasionally break out the thermal camera and see what's glowing. I don't know if I would have found that theft module very easily without that thermal camera. That one came in clutch because I did not see it. Like when I had my face in there, I did not see it behind that brace, that dash brace that it mounted to. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Catch y'all in the next one.